Welcome, everyone, to Nopes and Opes. Here we are in the year 2025. This is our first episode back, and things look a little bit different. I'm
Oh my
joined
God.
by my lovely co host, Hylan.
Yeah.
Lance is not present. Maybe he'll make an appearance. But yeah, things are a little bit different for season 2 of the podcast.
Not a little bit. I mean, I feel like I am on a totally different planet. Um, I've reached out to some friends and just said, hey, the new episodes are going to be, I think the words that I use specifically are visually stunning. And I hope that this translates into what you see on YouTube because if you watch, I think you will be shocked at what's coming at you this year in 2025.
Yeah, and so much so that we have a new camera angle. We got the Rowan camera. Just me, the audience. No Hylan. He's over here. But,
Thank God.
yeah.
I think we're all appreciative of that.
So I also bought a bunch of new lighting setup. So hopefully we won't have any more episodes where we look like we're in a cave, dimly lit. Um, I kind of went overkill
No, we are not going to be dimly lit anymore forever.
with the lighting. And so with all that being said, give us a little bit of grace. I'm trying to figure out all this stuff. To be honest, we've already recorded about 3 episodes, and the first 2 we cannot use because I messed up with one of the cameras and whatnot. Um, yeah, we're figuring it out. But Nopes and Opes is back better than ever. Nopes and Opes 2.0 for season 2.
Yeah, I think. I mean, excuse me. I think this year, I think we're going to talk a little bit about what we're expect for this year and what we have from last year, whatever. But the expectations, the kind of positive energy, the like what I feel is possible and what I kind of expect for this year is huge. Like I don't know. I'm super excited. The new technology, the new lighting, the just the kind of setup, um, the topics, the conversations, the ideas, the just the overall energy of this. And I think the responses that we've gotten from other people have been super kind of confidence building and inspiring and this gives me a lot of energy to put into this and I really 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 look forward to 2025.
Yeah, I think the beginning of this year versus the beginning of last year, I just 2 different headspaces of where
Not
we're
even
in it.
close.
Yeah, like I mean, the beginning of last year, me and Highland were very kind of, what is this? Is this something like we enjoyed doing it? We're gonna keep making it. But I was also,
I wasn't even sure.
yeah, I was still like, am I gonna be in Minnesota for that long? Like, where am I moving next and all that stuff? And
Yeah.
then, as you viewers know and listeners, that changed. And so I don't know, like I'm also just excited. I think we just have a way better mentality going into it. Not that the mentality used to be bad, but now we're like, oh, we believe in this thing and like, we're working at it. We're putting a lot more money and investments into it, like with the actual setup. And then also with, we have we're starting an Instagram page, which I know, social media, we're not a fan of it, but it'll have clips and whatnot from the podcast. So you can check them out. A lot of them are fun, a lot of funny clips and whatnot, but
Yeah.
moments from the episodes that we have, because, we're, to sit here and listen or watch for 45 minutes is, it takes a good time. So we'll have clips of like fun moments that you guys can check out,
Yeah.
and also hoping to promote it and get it out there. And that way you can share it with your friends so we can get some more viewership to, kind of reach a bigger audience.
Well, in that respect though too, I mean, the other day, I have been listening to like the last, I don't know, 4 or 5, whatever episodes. And I gotta say, I'm actually even with even with well, okay. So first of all, I got to apologize for freaking Darth Vader showing up in those episodes
Yeah, the last like 4 episodes.
that we recorded
Yep.
at my apartment. I for whatever reason, I was just holding the microphone and breathing excessively, and the microphone caught everything, and I almost turned off the episodes. I could not handle it. I was just like, "Ooh, like where is Darth Vader on the set that we're doing?" But yeah, so I apologize for that. Like that was actually very disturbing to me. Like to watch the episodes, I almost couldn't handle it, but I enjoyed the episodes so much. I was like, all right, like I'll put up with Darth Vader for the content, But yeah, it was a
Yeah,
lot.
and it's also partly my fault. I had, with the audio setup and everything, when I drove to Minnesota, I had, like, changed things thinking like, "Oh, maybe it should be a little bit different." And, like, every time I'm trying to figure this out, it's like a YouTube video of, like, how should it sound,
Yeah,
whatnot, and then I'm just kinda, toying with it. So, we're getting better at it,
yeah,
and the
absolutely.
hope is that now that will not be a problem, which I think so far in the what we've recorded, it wasn't a problem, so I think we're good.
Yeah,
But we'll see. Maybe Darth Vader will make an appearance again. The hope is not, but who knows?
yeah.
Um,
I will try to control my breathing from now on.
yeah. But one of the fun things we want to talk about this episode is it's a new year, so people talk about New Year's resolutions. Do you want to bring it down for a second? Is that where you
Yeah,
want to
I'm
get to?
sorry. So, like, before we get into all the positivity, because I think there is, I think Rowan and I both are just feeling really, really good about things and super excited. And I hope that that energy kind of translates through whatever medium you're listening or watching. But I just, because it is 2025 and I spent, like, I just drove from Colorado to Rowan's house here in Peoria, and I was just listening to the news constantly for 13 and a half hours or whatever. And the fires in California dominated. And I, words in these situations are pretty useless. I don't think they do anything. But I just want to say, like, from the bottom of my heart, the bottom of my soul, I, I don't have anything that I can say that can really help at all. But I just, everybody that's in that situation, everybody that's experiencing it directly, indirectly, if you have family members there, whatever, I just, I care about you. I love you. I wish for the best. Please take care of yourselves, your families, those around you. Do what you can to make a really, really bad situation better for in any way possible. And I just I wish you the best. Because it's really, it was devastating to listen to. I can't imagine what it's like to go through. And I just, it's really important to me just to like put it out there and just say, like, I really, I feel
Yeah.
badly, and I wish for the best for everybody.
Yeah. I will second that. And it's also, like I've been very fortunate. I've never been in a situation where natural disasters have really had that much big of an impact
Yeah.
on my community. And it's just, I mean, it's the thing that when it happens, you never expect it. And I mean, LA and whatnot has had a lot of natural fires in recent years, but this one is just like so devastating. Just
I
I mean, isn't there 3 going on at the same time? Like,
Oh,
it's just
there's
massive.
more even. Yeah, there's continually, there's new ones popping up every day, and it's
Yeah.
just, there a lot of them are uncontained. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just I think it's unfathomable for you and I to
Yeah.
even begin to comprehend. And in some ways I feel a little bit weird even talking about it because I don't have
Yep.
any context. But yeah,
The
just
thing I think about the most is, the firefighters. It's like my dad's a firefighter and whatnot, so anytime something like that happens, I mean, I just think of, like, the firefighters and their families, like that, because that's a big thing. Because I was always worried as a kid, is my dad gonna come back home? And
yeah.
luckily, he does a very good job and very smart, but, like, also, like, wildfire firefighters is like a whole 'nother, it's like skill and honestly just, danger.
Well, they had some fire chiefs on, and it was just they were kind of explaining the situations and how dangerous it actually is. And with the winds, I mean, they can be in one line, and the wind can take sparks and put it behind them, and they're toast. So yeah, it's just super, super, super appreciative of all of the efforts being made to combat it, and just like send out just love and just yeah, it's really devastating. So
Yeah.
I don't want to bring it down too much, but
No,
at
not
the
at all.
same time,
Yeah.
just take care of each other.
Yeah. So we're being mindful of that in this new year. But one thing we want to talk about is kind of this idea of New Year's resolutions and kind of in the last year, what our resolutions were, and kind of like if we achieved them, what we thought we did well with them, and then kind of this upcoming year, what our New Year's resolutions are, and kind of what our resolutions are with the podcast. where we want to go,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
we want to take it. So to start, I think we should kind of reflect back. We'll start with you, Highland. In 2024, your New Year's resolution, kind of what was it? And
I have no idea.
well, I'll remind you. We had an episode
Yeah.
available at Nopes and Nopes. If yeah, and you had said that you wanted to live quietly bold
Oh, yeah.
in the year of
I
2024.
totally like we talked about that actually before, and I totally forgot about it. But oh my god, yeah. So okay, yeah, I'm having a moment here. But quietly bold. I freaking love that term. I kind of want to like coin it or whatever. Like
Yeah,
how do you
trademark.
how do you trademark that? But I feel like I succeeded the heck out of that. This 2024, I mean, just this alone is a huge, huge step forward because, like, when you see us on camera, like, you can see everything.
Hmm. Yeah, we're in 4K resolution now.
You
So
can see, you can see the 50 years
yeah,
of life very, very clearly. And I don't know if I'm super happy about that, but at the same time, I earned every single one of these gray hairs. I
yeah.
earned every single one of these creases, whatever. So in the end, it is what it is. But yeah, I feel 2024, I, I live the heck out of quietly boldly. I'm really, really proud of the steps that I took, of the risks that I took, of the accomplishments that I made, of the work that I did with the students. Yeah, man, ah, I'm feeling a little bit fuzzy. Yeah, I really, really did a good job. I feel very, very proud. I feel very solid in what 2024 offered and what I offered 2024.
Mm. Okay, so with that being said, 2025, what is the change in what and how you want to live? I guess resolution.
Yeah, 2025. As I was driving here, I had a bunch of individual individual resolute. I don't really believe in resolutions. I had a bunch of 2025, like, okay, I had a list. I want to accomplish this, 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 and this. And as I was coming and I was listening to the news and just kind of reflecting, and it just put things into a different perspective. And I totally changed how I want to think about 2025. And in 2025, I'm actually going to do 180 degrees from what I did in 2024. Whereas 2024, I kind of emphasized like, hey, look inward, take care of yourself, do the work, you know, take responsibility for you as an individual. And in 2025, I am going to look outward. I am going to begin to say, okay, Island, you've done a really, really good job. I feel like you're pretty solid as an individual. I feel like you are taking responsibility. You are doing the things that you need to do. Now you have been gifted a lot in this life. You have been blessed in many, many ways. And you have the abilities to really influence others and take care of others in ways that not everybody has those abilities. And so for 2025, my kind of focus and my desires are to begin to look outside of myself and begin to help others live their best lives in whatever ways they want to achieve.
Mm.
So for my, yeah, 2025 is a total reversal. It's looking outside of myself and lifting up others, and helping others as much as I can.
Is there anything specific that has made you want to shift from inwards to outwards?
Yeah, absolutely. I have been I have been blessed so much in 2024, but I have realized that I my life and my experiences and my ways of thinking and my style and the way that I talk and just are actually really effective with students and with
Yeah.
the people that I work. and I have the abilities to really make a very positive difference. And I, I, it's a little bit scary to admit that,
Mhm.
but at the same time, it's like Highland, you have skills, and you need to utilize them not only on yourself,
No.
but in the to the benefit of others. And it's taken me a long time to get to this point, but I have quite a few years left, and I hope to utilize those years to the maximum benefit.
Yeah. More than quite a few. You got a long life to
Yeah,
live.
yeah, yeah,
Got time.
yeah,
But no, that's great. I mean, I'm happy to hear that. And it's funny for me because and as we've talked about this at exhaustion, but like the Highland I met at the beginning of this podcast and the Rowan you met at the beginning of this podcast has changed so drastically because of the life experiences we've had, the
yeah.
relationship we've formed, the things that we've talked about. I mean, have truly opened my eyes to a lot. I think they've opened your eyes to a lot.
Oh,
And it's
absolutely.
cool to see kind of the growth personally, right? Like even at, 50 years old, you're still finding new ways to grow and, change as a person, which is
Daily.
cool.
Yeah,
So, so for me,
yeah. That's what's.
2024, the biggest goal for me was confidence, right?
Mm,
So, the end of 2023 messed me up, just
it
big
was.
change in life. It was a rough time for Owen. Which is, understandable. Everyone went through a rough time after COVID and whatnot, and this was kind of just like the last pebble to be thrown of my life. Yeah, and it shattered the glass house.
Oh,
And so 2024 was basically starting over for me. And the biggest thing that I wanted to work on was like building confidence. So,
yeah,
like you kind of said, and I think it was kind of like the theme of the podcast, it was very inwards.
yeah.
It was take responsibility for your life. A lot of just kind of like working on myself. And Lancelot is here. Hey, buddy. Um, he had to make an appearance for this episode. He could tell I was talking about the dark times. But as I was saying, it was biggest thing was building confidence, getting excited to be in my own skin, feeling better about myself.
Yeah.
So I started to, work out. I started to do a lot of, mental improvements and just thinking about how I think about things, the book, the podcast. This is all like basically an act of showing love for myself. This
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
practice of it, which has
Yeah.
been very beneficial. And if I did it, I think I have. I really have gotten to a place where I am doing a lot better with my own mental health, my own physical health, and just the feeling of who I am as a person. Um, nice. Sorry, I'm getting a little distracted by.
Well,
Ow.
can I just interrupt? Can I just interrupt one? I'm sorry to interrupt your flow here, but I just want to applaud the heck out of Rowan because where Rowan was in 2024, at the beginning of 2024, to where Rowan is now is immeasurable. But I just want to like send out a specific. The dude, like I showed up the other day, and Rowan and I showed up at like 9:30 or whatever at night, and it was pretty late, and we weren't going to record. But Rowan like brought me up into the kind of the studio that we have here now, and turned on the light and everything, and just had on a white T-shirt with some black pants. And I gotta say, Rowan, looking ripped, my man. Like looking really, really good. Like physically, and mentally too. I can tell,
Yeah.
like smiling and stuff. But physically, the dude is looking really, really good. So
Yeah.
2024, the end of 2024 has treated you really, really well. And
Yeah.
I'm a little bit intimidated. Like if you keep on, like if you keep on improving at this rate, I'm gonna have to start doing something so I don't look so puny next to you.
There's something we could do some VFX.
Yeah, exactly. You have to bring in
No,
some AI or
and what's
something.
nice about doing this podcast is like so we've been disciplined about it. Like we have released 50 episodes. So all of season 1 was 50 episodes.
That's crazy, my man.
And there's a visual representation of how like I've been doing work on myself, how you've improved as an individual. And so like when I listen to the like first few episodes, who is it a different Rowan? Like it's the Rowan that's trying to get over the past.
Yeah,
And now when I listen to the podcast and I hear myself, it's just much more confident. So I do think I achieve confidence. And it's something you daily have to work at. It's not like, now I'm like the king and I don't need to continue to work on it.
no,
Like, no,
no,
no, no. It's a daily thing.
yeah,
I'll still work on it. But in 2025, what I started to think of like my New Year's resolutions was along the lines of discipline and I actually wrote it down. Discipline and consistency. And it
Mm.
kind of started and stemmed from the working out, right? Because I towards the end of 2024, I really like started to do that for myself and it really helped with my confidence.
Yeah.
And so I thought like, okay, there's something there that's like really important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I started the year and I was like, okay, I need to be really disciplined and really consistent. And as I was like starting to think about it more and more and more, I've just had some things happen within the past month or two, which we'll get into in another episode, that have just kind of like changed how I think about things a little bit
Yeah.
in my own personal life. And I felt like I was being so selfish because all of 2024, it was essentially about building confidence, but I did that through discipline and consistency.
Mm.
And I just started to feel like I'm kind of getting lonely. Like I'm
Oh.
just so focused on myself that I am kind of tired of it. Like I've done all the mental work
Yeah.
of getting over the past. I've, dealt with all of the rejection and all of the negative feelings from, the year. And now I'm kind of like done with it in a sense. Like I
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
I want to move on from it. And so I changed it from, discipline and consistency to connection,
Oh.
which I think is kind of also the theme that you were kind of getting into of like instead of being super inward
Yeah.
and taking responsibility for yourself,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
can we
Yeah.
reach out to others and connect with them? Because like 2024, in all honesty, like I spent so much time kind of in isolation. I mean, we've had, a lot of great moments, which are always fun and kind of like lift me up. But then outside of those experiences, I spent a lot of time just like journaling, thinking about what I should be doing, lifting by myself. Like I work out in the basement here at home. And so I have this routine and that's just very kind of like self improving. And I finally got to the point where like, no, I feel good in who I am as a person. I think I have a lot of the qualities that I think are good. Now I want to share them with others and
Oh man.
bring people into my life, but also like start to be in other people's lives and see how I can like impact them in a positive way
Oh.
through like things like the podcast or the things that I've learned. Like not to say like I'm some, wise old man that knows exactly what he's doing, but like now I have just this experience from the last 5 years that were it was rough
Yeah.
and just a lot of like growing up, I'll say, that I'd
Yeah.
like to share with people and try to help them, get past those times. For instance, I work at a bar and I work with mostly women. There's one other guy I work with, but he only works like every other 2 weeks. But all these girls are like 21, 22, 24. And so they're at the stage where I struggled the most.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I start to see like at first I was so like wrapped up in my own stuff that I was like, I'm not, and I've talked about it on the podcast, like, I'm not going to share the podcast with them. Like, I'm going to keep all of this secret. They don't need to know about it.
Yeah.
Like, this is for me. This is not for them. Like, no, 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 no. And as time has changed in this new year, like everyone knows about the podcast now. Island actually got to go and see the bar and actually meet some of the
Yeah.
ladies I work with and whatnot. And it's funny, we're not. There's gonna be some rumors that start, of course, because I just walk in with my 50-year-old boyfriend,
Yeah.
my sugar daddy.
Yeah.
But it's just been a change of being like, okay, how can I connect with others? And I think that's something we want to continue with the podcast as well.
Like to me, I'm kind of getting chills over here. That is ultimately so important. And I've just been thinking in that regard. I think both of our kind of goals, resolutions, whatever word you want to use for 2025 kind of coincide and work in a way that's kind of I didn't realize that we were gonna be as close as we are in that regard. But
And this was not planned. Like
no,
all the
no.
thinking I had done was separate from Island, and
Yeah.
this is genuinely like, oh, we just kind of have a common goal.
Yeah, yeah. Which is super cool. But one of the things that I think is really strange for me personally, because I am still very embarrassed to introduce this podcast to people
Yeah.
and the book and things like that. But towards the end of last year and the beginning of this year, for sure, my mindset is changing drastically. I am I'm really excited about what I can bring to this podcast, but also at the same time, I think the episodes that I've listened to and just my mindset has changed so much. I feel really proud, and it's just in my nature to be embarrassed. I still don't feel
Yeah.
super comfortable talking about it or saying, "Yeah, I have a podcast," but at the same time, if people listen or if I actually somehow slip out like, "Yeah, I have a podcast,"
Mhm.
and people pay attention, I I feel I feel very comfortable. I feel like this is a quality product, and I feel like this can help in some way, whether it's calming or information or just whatever it is. But yeah, I
I just
feel
had a realization of why. So I made that comment earlier about how I did not want to share the podcast with the people I work with,
yeah.
and I think I understand that why now, um, because I was afraid to share my true authentic self, because this is the most vulnerable,
Oh my
authentic
god.
Rowan that there is, which is like something that I think is I think we had talked about in the beginning of 2024. Like the third episode that's ever released is just called like authenticity. And that's kind of where that's another one of our goals of the podcast was like we want to be as authentic and vulnerable as possible. And that's still going to remain. Like that'll
I think
always
we've
be
achieved that.
we
I'm
have,
shocked at how authentic we've
but
been.
it's going to be the through line until this podcast is over. And so the biggest thing for me with like sharing it with people, it's not embarrassment because like, oh, we talk about these specific things or whatever. It's more of embarrassment like you are going to see the most vulnerable version of Rowan and you're going to learn my dirty laundry. You're going to learn my secrets. You're going to
Ugh,
learn what I've been through, what
yeah.
I've experienced. And I just think that like in this year and connecting with people, I think the best way to connect with people is to come at it with a very authentic and honest self. So that way you can really connect. Because if I come at it the way I have in the past, trying to be someone I'm not, it never works out. And if also you do like the person that I portray and it really isn't me,
Yeah.
then once you actually get to know the real me, you're like, "What happened to the guy I like?" And you're like,
Eventually that
"Well, I mean,
crumbles.
this is really me." And
Yeah, yeah.
so, it was also kind of nice yesterday being at the bar with Highland because, like, when I go to the bar, I think I portray myself in a certain light, and I don't share as much. But I've started to share more, also because I've gotten more comfortable around the people I work with. But now I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, "Uh oh, you guys are gonna get the full picture."
Yeah,
And learn
really, really full.
all of the weird intricacies of who I am as a person. But like I said with 2024 about building confidence, like you have to feel good about those things. And now that I'm at the end of 2024, I do feel good and confident that like I'm gonna share them and like I think people will respond positively to them. And if you don't, like that's okay.
Well, and I think that's a really important point because in order to feel comfortable sharing your biggest insecurities, your deepest, darkest secrets, you have to have the confidence that you can rise above them
Yeah.
and you can move forward and you can create the life that you want to create. Like if you're stuck, like, oh, like I I've suffered these things and I can't move past them, then you're not going to be willing to share them.
Oh yeah.
But the fact that I think you and I both have been through some pretty rough waters and come out the other side,
Yeah.
and now are like, yeah, it happened. That's part of it. Here's the stories from that time, and then now let's move forward. I think shows a huge maturity, a huge growth, and the ability to just realize we got the skills, we got
Yeah.
the abilities to put that in the past and create the future that we want, to create the present and the future that we want. And that's huge. And that's to me the essence. Like I feel like all of the crap that I've been through in the past has allowed me to get to this point. And if those, like I've said this before, but if those stories can help some 16-year-old just struggling in high school
Yeah.
right now or whatever, it's like, how does that negatively affect me at all? It doesn't.
No.
Like I'm still the person that I am today. It's just like that's a way for me to impact someone positively, and heck yeah, let's
Yeah.
do it.
I think like one of our strong suits, I don't want to speak for you, but like for me personally, like I don't always think I give really great advice per se, but what I think I do is I share the experiences that I've gone through and kind of like how I've handled them. And I think that is a way that helps people kind of get through stuff. Not that that's my job, but for instance, like, Emmett, my little brother, we have a lot of very kind of similar talks that are much like the podcast.
Yeah,
But usually the way that I help him if he's getting through something or thinking about something is I won't tell him like, "Hey, this is what you should do. You're doing this wrong."
yeah,
Because I've learned like, "Hey man, you know yourself the best. You're going to make the decisions you want to make.
yeah,
It's your life. But here's what I did. And here's the thing that I experienced." And I think that's a great way to connect with people because if we sit on this podcast and we're like, if you're experiencing this, this is what you need to do to feel better. Like that's the most asinine response. Like
if
everyone's,
we do that, I'm walking out.
yeah, exactly, right? And so I think with sharing all these stories and these vulnerabilities, now that we've kind of I feel at the point where like I'm past it and like, like I feel like I've kind of overcome the feelings of regret and failure and whatever. And
Yeah,
now I
I
feel
guess
like it's a success.
in listening to you, it's no longer a vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's just a story, right?
Oh, there we go.
It's just something that happened to me,
Yeah.
right? Like I did feel before, like if I shared these stories, oh man, this is one of those moments where I'm just like, ah. But I before, like it's taken me this long to get to this point, but I feel like before, if I shared a story about a failure, like I was still experiencing that failure,
Yeah.
right? Like that was me
Yep.
still, even if it happened when I was 16 years old. And it's like, what? And I look back now and I'm like, no, man, it's just part of the history. Like
Yeah.
that happened, and that allowed you to get to this point and be in a podcast and just be having a great time and
Yeah.
like surrounded by freaking studio and just like loving life. And it's like it's just a story, man. It's
Yeah.
not. It doesn't reflect poorly on you. It's just something that you went through, and it's allowed you to become the person that you are today. And be thankful, be grateful. Like life's pretty freaking good right now, and without that experience, you're not here.
Yeah. So, in theme with this whole idea of 2025 wanting to be about connection, I think we want to do a lot more connecting with the audience. I
I
think
would freaking love it.
in this year, so we have the capabilities of having you on the podcast via phone or Zoom or possibly doing it in person. Um, I think that's something we'd really like to do. There's absolutely no pressure. I mean, we're going to keep doing this podcast whether or not we have guests on.
Yeah,
But I think, after 50 episodes, I think we want to hear from some other people and kind of get their perspectives and also just start to engage in more conversations on other people's life experiences.
yeah,
And I think that if you ever would like to be a part of that, you can always reach out to us at nopeopepod@gmail.com. And that way we can kind of start a communication of you being on it. But also, we do read all of the polls on Spotify. I read all of the comments on YouTube. And recently, we've gotten a ton of great comments that I think, would like to just kind of shout out
yeah,
and
yeah.
thank for all of the support. I don't know if you want to start with the comment we got on our episode on Rowan takes on dating.
Well, I mean, that's just specifically to Anne. She sent in a message, and Rowan and I both read it. I've read it multiple times, and each time I read it, it still gets me all hyped up and like really feeling good and really energized about doing this more and more and just making it better and better and better and continuing to try and do the best that we can in this regard. But a lot, I mean, yeah, I have so many people that I'd like to thank, and I think one episode we will kind of get to that point. But yeah, just realize if you do reach out to us, if you do um, say like any message, whatever it might be, whether it's email, YouTube, whatever it is, it really, really does make a really positive difference.
Yeah.
And it just it's just one more way to connect. It's just one more way to realize like, hey, we are doing something that's affecting someone in a positive so far, a positive way.
Yeah.
I haven't received any haters yet, but
We'll get to the point where we get some haters. And that's okay. I'm
But
I'm kind of excited for it.
yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff gets me a little bit choked up because to me, that's a really big deal. And when I started this thing, one, I didn't think we'd make it past 3 episodes. And two, I didn't think that anything that I had to say would make any difference.
Honestly, I thought we were gonna run out of stuff to talk about because there's like 12 chapters in the book, and I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna do them on the book, 12 chapters," and then I'm like, "That's 12 episodes. That's great." And
Yeah.
then 50 episodes later, I'm like, "No, we still got a lot to talk about."
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Today we have to record so many, and we're just like, oh my God, we have to talk about this, this, this. So, yeah, I just really, I want to appreciate yourself. I mean, this journey is not possible without all the work that you do, and then just the people that have supported us from the very beginning, that continue to support us, that have recently joined. I mean, the I watched one video and it went from like 13 views to 146, and I almost lost my mind. I was like, "What the heck is happening?" Like I thought it was some sort of mistake. I was like, "What is YouTube messing with me? Like, is this the Matrix or something? Like, just trying to blow my mind up." So yeah, I just I just feel so much gratitude. I feel so lucky, and I just am really, really. I know this is an old word, but I'm just super stoked to be a part of this and
Mm,
to continue to try and do the best that we can do.
yeah. I second that and I agree. And I thank you for all of your dedication and work. I mean, hey, man, you drove 13 and a half hours to get here through snow, mud, and everything.
Yeah, I did.
So it is appreciated. And we're going to continue to do this thing. We love doing it. It gets us excited. We'll have new episodes every single Monday. So season 2 is kicking off with a bang. This will be the first episode. We're gonna have the Instagram page like I talked about with clips. The book is still available in the podcast description alongside of Highland's blog, where you can check
Oh,
out a lot of his posts that he posts. It's every Friday, I believe,
yeah.
right? Friday morning, he'll send out something
Yep.
that you can read. And yeah, if you ever want to reach out to us, it's nopeopepod@gmail.com. We appreciate all the love and support. Feel free to, subscribe if you'd like. Maybe like the video, share it with a friend.
Can I just say one last thing?
Yeah.
I forgot this actually. I just want to take one moment, and I realize not everybody is feeling the same way that I'm feeling in the beginning of 2025.
Right.
2024 might have been a very tough year. The beginning of 2025 might be, um, a rough time for you. Like we personally know
Yeah.
some people that are struggling, and I just want to say, wherever you at, whatever's going on, whatever you're dealing with or not dealing with, just realize there are people in this world that love you, that care about you, that want you to be here, that are there for you. If you are struggling, please reach out and just realize you're here for a reason. And yeah, you're loved, you're cared about, and we wish you only the best in 2025. If there's anything that we can do, we are more than happy to do whatever we can to help in any way. Because all of us deserve the best, and let's just do everything we can to make sure that all of those around us have the best year possible.
I agree. Well, thanks for watching, gang, and we'll see you in the next one.